Let's go to our general characteristics of polysaccharides. So we have polysaccharides. The polysaccharide is from 11 monosaccharides to millions of monosaccharides. So many monosaccharide units bonded with glycosidic linkages. So again, the linkage because when two monosaccharides connect or the linkage there is glycosidic linkages. And so here also in the polysaccharide, the the linkage is glycosidic linkages. And then we also have branched or unbranched polysaccharides. Okay, so branch is okay. There's a branching that occurs like this one. And then, okay, this is unbranched. Unbranched, we say, okay, example, it's only a straight chain that's unbranched, no branches. And then we also have the branched, branch, branched. We have the branched, branched. Also, we have unbranched at the same time homopolysaccharide. Homopolysaccharide meaning that the saccharides present are the same. Example, example of maltose. Example of maltose and cellulose. So they are homodisaccharides. So it has the same saccharides. So it has only glucose. Now also here we have homopolysaccharide, the same monomers. Okay. And then we have this one. This one is a branched homopolysaccharide. This is unbranched homopolysaccharide. Then for this case, as we can see here, okay, as we can see here, this is unbranched. Okay, this is unbranched. Unbranched. As we can see here, the blue is different than the red monomer. So this one is a heteropolysaccharide. Now we have here, this one is a branched chain and it is heteropolysaccharide. Okay, so it could be a glucose and then we have the fructose, the glucose, and then we have our ribose. So it is heteropolysaccharide. Okay. Now, so we have also al- a polysaccharide. Its alternate name is glycine. It's not sweet and don't show positive test in Tollens and Benedict solution. So Tollens and Benedict solutions, they are our oxidizing reagent. Okay, then it is limited water solubility and the polysaccharide is all can be classified as storage. Polysaccharides can be classified as storage, structural, and then we have acidic polysaccharides. Then we also have homopolysaccharides. Okay, example of it is starch. Then we have glycogen, cellulose, and carrageenan. They are homopolysaccharides. Then we have heteropolysaccharides. They are hyaluronic acid, heparin, chondroitin sulfate, and algenic acid. Okay, so we have this one as starch. So starch is classified as our storage polysaccharide. Okay, so we have the starch. Its chief caloric distributor in the diet. the reserved carbohydrates for plants. Okay, so the starch is the carbohydrates we can find in plants. Okay, so carbohydrates in plants are called starch. And we have two types of starch with amylose. It's a straight chain polymer. Okay, it's straight, meaning it's unbranched. It has 15 to 20%. It's 15 to 20% of the starch. Okay. Then, okay, so amylose is just a classification of our starch. Then it is water soluble, 60%, 60 to 300 glucose unit joined by 1,4 glycosidic bond. Okay, so as you can see, an amylose, okay, an amylose is a straight chain polymer and it consists of 60 to 300 glucose monomer. So this is a homopolysaccharide. Okay, it's glucose only. And then 60 to 300 monomer, so that's long. Again, the bond there that appears is alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. And then we have an experimental evidence indicates that the molecule is actually called like a spring and it is not a straight chain of glucose unit. Okay, so this one, there's an experiment. Okay, so this one. It's not in an experiment. The amylose is not a straight chain rather than a coiled. But again, it's unbranched. So we have the characteristic blue color that starch gives when treated with iodine is due to the formation of the amylose complex. Okay, so when we have our starch, example, we have our bread. Now, if our bread, when dropped with an iodine, okay, if it turns blue, then there's a presence of amylose. Okay, if it turns blue. If not, then it's not no presence of amylose complex. Okay, so we have this one, which is our amylose. Okay, now let's wait a minute. It's still loading. So another starch as we have amylopectin. Okay, it is a branched chain. Okay, unlike to an amylose is unbranched. It's a straight chain. This amylopectin is branched chain polymer and it is 80 to 85% of the starch. Okay. So the water soluble, this is water insoluble fraction and it is composed of 300 to 600 glucose units. Okay. And it is joined in. Okay, so the straight chain is joined with an alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. And however, okay, the branching is an alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond. Okay, here is an alpha 1,4. And then here it's 1,6. As you can see, this is 1 and this is 6. Wait a minute. Alright, so this is 1 and this is 6. So the branching there is alpha 1,6, alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic linkage. But here is an alpha 1,4, 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Okay, so again, amylopectin is insoluble. it's water insoluble, while your amylose is uh okay, well, amylose is our water soluble part. Okay, so if we have our starch, if this is a starch, now the 15% of it, or 15 to 20%, 50, 25, okay, here, all here is our amylose, is amylose, okay, oh no. Amylose, wow. The 85%, it is insoluble. It cannot be, when we say insoluble, it cannot be dissolved by our water. So this one is your amylopectin. Okay, and this is your amylose. If this is if the whole thing is your starch, amylose is 15% to 20% of it, and it is water soluble, and it is a straight chain. However, the 85 to 80 to 85% is your amylopectin. It is water insoluble, and it has alpha 1 for glycosidic. Here in amylose, it's all alpha 1 4 since it's a straight chain. In amylopectin, so the straight chain is alpha 1 4. However, during the branching, the formation of the branch, it's alpha 1 6 linkage. Okay. So starch is the main sugar we find in our plants. So during the starch gives the structure of our plants. Now we have our glycogen. So if the oh store sorry I said structure, but it's the storage. It's the storage polysaccharide. Now if the plants uh, has no present sugar, then it will convert what it has in the starch. Then we have here for animals, okay, it, the storage polysaccharide we have is our glycogen. We can find starch in our body, but only we can find glycogen. Glycogen again is a storage polysaccharide. It means that it is where our sugars uh, stored for later use. Now, example, if our body will only need 4 kilocalories of sugars, and then there's a lot of sugar, so the other sugars will be stored as glycogen. Now, glucose storage molecule of animals stored in granules in liver. Okay, so we have our liver and in our muscle cells and livers. It's the location where our glycogens are stored. Okay, and like amylopectin, it is nonlinear. Okay, so it's branch of glucose units joined by 1 4 and alpha 1 6 glycosidic bonds. But this one has lower molecular weight, okay, unlike to amylopectin. And this is more highly branched structure. Its branches are shorter. Okay, so this one, unlike the amylopectin, our glycogen is uh, Anisha has lower molecular weight and is highly branched structure. And also its branches are shorter, and when you put or when you test it with an iodine, it gives a red-brown color. Unlike the amylopectin, unlike to amylose, it gives us blue. But this one, it gives us a red-brown color. Okay, so that is glycogen. So class, if you wonder, what's the use of the storage polysaccharides? They are very useful. That's why when we have fat and we also have no money one. Okay, so the mga tambok are they have lots of glycogen, stored fats, okay, stored sugars as glycogen. So if di sila mukaon ng mga tambok, di mga yung pila ka adlaw o pila ka meals and pila ka adlaw, they still have carbo sugars. They will because they have lots of stored glycogen, so the glycogen will be hydrolyzed into glucose. Because again, our glycogen mm, is a polysaccharide of glucose. It's a glucose storage molecules of animals. So, and we can find it in our muscle cells in liver. So, ang maniwang, they don't have a store. Gamay kaya yung lang stored glycogen. So, silang kulangan ng sugar. Unlike to katong mga tambok, so na-joke during crisis, during tigutom, ang mga tambok, ang mga niwang mamatay na, ang mga tambok maniwang pa. It's true, it's kind of true because those fat people has higher stored glucose. And then we also have cellulose. Okay, cellulose. Let's go to a structural polysaccharide. So glycogen and your starch are storage polysaccharide. This time we have our structural polysaccharides. When we say structural, of course, it gives structure, it gives shape to to the to both animals in plants. So we have cellulose. Okay, cellulose is a fibrous carbohydrate found in all plants when it serves as a structural component of the plant's cell wall. Okay, so the carbohydrates for the found in our plants, they are cellulose. It gives the shape and the structure of our plants. And this one is a linear polymer of glucose units. Again, these are all glucose, and it is alpha 1. Okay, it's beta. Okay, it's up. So it's beta alpha 1 for glycosidic bond. Sorry about glucosidic, but it's gly. Then we have so linear nature of chain allows close packing into a fibers, making it difficult for solvent molecules to pull the chains apart. The cellulose is inert toward most solvents. Okay, so this linear chain gives also an advantage because of it is very it has a close packing, so mas stronger siya and making it difficult for solvent molecules to pull the chains apart. Okay, so in cotton we have 95% cellulose and wood is 50% cellulose. So we have cotton has 95%, so it has high cellulose than our wood. It's only 50%. Okay, class. So the sugar we find in woods, it's a no cellulose. In plants, it's cellulose. Okay, that's why even a paper, okay, a paper came from wood, so it's 50%. It has cellulose. Okay, so people don't have. Okay, so our termites example are termites. Yes, as you can observe that the termites, their food are woods and papers because they have cellulase. Okay, it's a sugar. Cellulose is a sugar, so it serves as their food now. And they have an enzyme called cellulase that hydrolyzes cellulose into glucose. And also, cellulose serves as a dietary fiber in food, readily absorbs water, and results in softer stools. Okay, so we have this one. It is a dietary fiber, cellulose, because it came from plants also, and it absorbs water and results in softer stools. That's why. Hmm? Okay, so we have that one softer stools. Then we have 25 to 35% of dietary fiber is desired every day. Okay, because cellulose. hmm, Okay, so our cellulose is rich in fibers. So the fibers acts as meshwork. So it acts as a net, and it acts as a net, and it attracts or yung pang kainin ang mga toxins sa imong body, and then that's why also it absorbs water. That's why ini kuhain nato is uh it's easy to excrete because we have a softer stools. Now let's go. Okay, so we have cellulose. So cellulose again, it's homopolysaccharide. On it's the monomer there is our D-glucose, and upon hydrolysis, okay, it will yield D-glucose. However, yet mine in the carnivorous animals can't utilize cellulose as a source of glucose. Okay, so yet this one, cellulose, cellulose, we have cellulose which is from plants, which gives them structure. And then when we eat that one, like example, our alugbati or kangkong, as you can see, class, as you can see, when we excrete, it's still kangkong, it's still alugbati. Yes, because our body don't have a cellulase. A cellulase is an enzyme that hydrolyzes cellulose. That's why how yet it acts as fiber. Okay, dietary fiber, but in fact our body can't digest it. Can't can't don't have an enzyme that hydrolyzes cellulose. Our body don't have a cellulase. Unlike to unlike to cows, goats, termites, they have within their digestive tracts a cellulase, and then they have microorganisms that produces cellulase. So that's why when we eat okra, some especially to mga liso, di siya mawaskag. It's because our body don't have cellulase. And the termites really like their food is wood and paper because they have an enzyme that catalyzes cellulose. They have cellulase. Okay, so um that's an explanation why when we excrete our alugbati and kangkong still forms kangkong. It's because our body don't we don't have an enzyme cellulase. However, kangkong and other kangkong and alugbati and they act as a good dietary fiber. So it's still good. It's very good to eat uh, to eat those kinds of vegetables because it still acts as cleaner now cleaner in our body. Now we have our chitin. This is similar to cellulose in both function and structure. Okay, so this is a polymer of, however, the monomer is N-acetyl D-glucosamine. Okay, N-acetyl D-glucosamine. This is a glucose at the when a glucose is attached to an amino group and an acetyl. So this is a glucosamine. Okay, so again the monomer unit here in a chitin is our glucose, and then it has it however it is amino. What was that? Wait a minute. Amino sugar. Okay, so we have an amino, the nitrogen, and our acetyl. Okay, it has a linear. Okay, it is beta 1,4 glycosidic linkages, has a linear extended structure like cellulose, and function is to give rigidity to the exoskeletons of crabs, the lobsters, and the shrimps. Okay, so it gives rigidity to the structure. Again, because also chitin is a structural polysaccharide and other anthropoids. So itself is inert and particularly insoluble in most solvents. So this is insoluble. It cannot be dissolved by most solvents. And its derivative chitosan can be prepared by simple alkali catalyzed deacylation. Chitosan derivatives are commercially used as films, fibers, surface coatings, and ultrafiltration members. Okay, so we have this one, our chitin. Okay, so it is a straight chain, straight polymer, and then the monomer there is glucose, which is na amino sugar because it reacts to our amino sugar like NH2 and our acetyl group. Okay, so we have here our carrageenan. It occurs as hydrocolloid extracted from selected species of red algae. Okay, so the the sugar that gives structures to our, you know, like this one, our gusto, it's carrageenan. And then it's sulfated polysaccharides consisting of polymers. So sulfated, so when we say sulfated, then we can expect some sulfate. Okay, so as we can see, class, that this is a galactose. Yes, this is a galactose. Okay, a galactose. Yeah, that's why it's the galactopyranose. Okay, it's a galactose, and then here it's it, it reacts to our sulfate. Okay, it reacts to our sulfuric acid now, and then it attacks our carbon too. It attacks our carbon too. So we have this one. If you have encountered this one, it is during the ano, it's NH2 lang to ato because it's on the formation of amino sugar. Now this one, this is a formation of sulfuric sulfated sugar. So consisting of polymers of sulfated galactopyranose bonded through alternating alpha 1,3 and beta 1,4 glycosidic linkages. Okay, so we have an alternate. This is also a straight chain. And then it is widely used in food industry. Its gelling property is used in enhancing the texture of various dairy products and in preventing oiling off in caramel and toffee during hot water. Okay, so this one, the jelly jelly property of this our so the sugar that gives it this structure and property is the carrageenan, and it also serves as coating to retard moisture loss in foods and fresh produce like fruits and vegetables. So we have that one, carrageenan. Okay, then we have another. Okay, so those okay, chitin. We have also cellulose, chitin, and so we have cellulose, chitin, and our carrageenan. This serves as our structural polysaccharides. It gives structures. Okay, so chitin gives rigidity for crabs, and all right. Okay, so we have. Let's go to our next slide. Okay, so we have. Alright, we have our acidic polysaccharide. We have hyaluronic acid. So it's a repeating unit of the saccharide. This saccharide composed of beta-D-glucuronic acid. So glucuronic acid. So this one, we've tackled that one already. It is where when our alcohol part of our glucose was attacked with an alcohol. It was oxidized rather. It was oxidized forming glucuronic acid and also an acetyl D-glucosamine in a beta 1,3 linkage. Okay, so we have this one. Okay, we have N, then we have our sulfuric acid. So we have N acetyl. Okay, sorry, this is not sulfuric. This is just our simple and acetyl glucosamine in our. Okay, so hyaluronic acid is formed from a beta D-glucuronic acid, and this one just an acid. And then we have it is linked in a 1,4 beta. Okay, as you can see, class, this one, and then you go down. That's still beta. Okay, it's a beta alpha, beta 1,3, and beta 1,4 linkage. Beta 1,3, and then we have beta 1,4 linkages. So this is highly viscous, serves as lubricants in the fluid of joints and parts of vitreous humor of the eye. Okay, when some ends sting, they inject an enzyme called hyaluronidase, which breaks hyaluronic acid on linkages and facilitates the spread of the venom. Okay, so when we are beaten by a snake, then it produces hyaluronidase. Hyaluronidase, it is an enzyme that hydrolyzes and breaks our hyaluronic acids, and then thus increases the spread of the venom. Okay, when we have, let's have our heparin. It is consists of repeating units of D-glucuronic acid and D-glucosamine. Okay, glucosamine. mm, Here. Okay, so this one is a ORD. Okay, gluco glucuronate, and we have the sulfate. Okay, and sulfo. So this one is our N sulfo D-glucosamine 6 sulfate. So this is our heparin. Okay, and it acts as an anticoagulant in blood, and that it inhibits blood clot formation. Okay, used in open heart surgery, so we use heparin on that. If we have the surgery, so we use heparin because it's anticoagulant in blood. Okay, and it inhibits blood clot formation, so that hindi mag-clot ang blood sa imo surgery. And then we have algenic acid. It is locally extracted from sargassum seaweeds. It consists of it consists of repeating units of beta 1,4 bonded monoronic. Okay, so if we have this one a monoronic, so for sure the sugar there is a mannose, and also we have alpha 1 for glucuronic acid cell wall material. So it serves as a base coating in meats and fish and introduces moisture loss and fat absorption. Okay, so let's go to katulong na kayo doon. Chondroitin sulfate. So it consists of repeating units of the glucuronic acid and glucosamine. Okay, class, so you just read this one, you just take note of the linkages, you just take note of the monomer. Okay, in chondroitin we have glucuronic, so the first sure it's glucose, and then we have glucosamine sulfate. So those are the glucuronic and the glucosamine sulfate. Those are the monomers of our chondroitin sulfate, and we have its structural role in cartilage, bone, and cornea of the eye, so that we have chondroitin. The sugar there is chondroitin. Uh, We have also glycemic foods. I developing concern about intake of carbohydrate. Okay, so we have glycemic foods. So dietary considerations on carbohydrates. We have glycemic foods. Okay, so we have a developing concern about intake of carbohydrates involves how fast the given dietary carbohydrates are broken down to glucose within our human body. Okay, how fast? So the glucose is converted and is broken down in our body. So we have our glycemic index that refers to how quickly carbohydrates are digested, and we have how high blood glucose rises, and we have how quickly blood glucose levels return to normal. Okay, so the glycemic index there is the blood, how high blood glucose rises. Okay, we have glycemic index or GI has been developed for rating foods. Low GI foods are desirable. Okay, so low GI because if you are diet, of course, you are limiting your sugar. Sugar is our glucose. And then we have a glycolipid is a lipid molecule that has one or more carbohydrate or carbohydrate derivative units covalently bonded to it. Then we have glycoprotein is a protein molecule that has one or more carbohydrates or carbohydrate derivative units. Okay, so from the word glyco, okay, it's from carbohydrates, uh, and we have lipids. It's from lipids. Okay, so it is, and they are covalently bonded to it. Okay, so here in biochemistry, we will be most dealing to covalent bonding, no ionic bonding, because again, biochemistry deals with an organic substances, bioorganic substances. So, in an organic substances, most they are covalently bonded. Okay, then we also have glycoprotein. Glycoprotein we have from glucose, from carbohydrate, and then we have protein. Okay, so that sugar has glucose and protein. Such carbohydrate complexes are very important in cellular functions such as cell to cell recognition and cell adhesion, cellular communication. So the glycoprotein and the glycolipids are very important. We have an available carbohydrate. So those not hydrolyzed by digestive enzymes, okay? And then they constitute the dietary fiber. Fiber is in the diet, aids in the formation of bulk in the intestinal tract, which increase the absorption of water along the tract. Okay, this one I told you na the fiber there acts as meshwork. Okay, it acts as a net, magnet. Okay, it acts as a net in our intestinal tract, and then by that at it yang inet ang mga toxins and other uh, water substances is in our tract. So dietary fiber, as it reaches the gut, it's intact structure where they form a meshwork. Fecal matter and water are trapped. Okay, so those toxins will be trapped, and the water also will be trapped. Those are those things that are undesirable in our body. In effect, we if we have an effect on that is we will have soft fecal matter which can be easily removed. Okay, especially when you are so maglisod ka kalibang, you eat more fiber. Okay, because fibers acts as ano ko na kay ko ano ko gatulog act as meshwork. Acts as meshwork, and then it traps other toxins and water in our body. So those things are undesirable, and then in effect, our body will be cleansed, and also makalibang na ta because we have enough kanang fibers. And if absent fecal matter is hard and has a long transit time, long sodium will dehydrate it and will make it harder to remove. So it also increases the rate at which digestive wastes move through the intestinal tract. which lessens the time the intestine comes in contact with any ingested carcinogens. Okay, so those carcinogenic uh, substances, carcinogenic foods we've eaten. Okay, if we will take a no diet, if we will take more fibers, then those will be eliminated. So, okay, so ano, triggering carcinogenic, substance foods, sige, ko na ni, like, in our, kanang, the kaning pagod, the pagod when we suba, karne, okay, so the pagod there is carcinogenic, it can cause you cancer, and it's not desirable. So, when we eat, more when we take more of our fibrous foods, then we will have okay, with this lessons that intestine to come in contact with these carcinogenic materials, and some forms of diverticulitis, inflammation of colon have been relieved by increasing the quantity of fiber in the diet. Yes, this one. So that's why most, katulad to si Cory Aquino, di ba, Chus? Cory Aquino was diagnosed of colon cancer. So there's an inflammation in the colon, in the intestine. Colon is part of our intestine. And then, so there was an inflammation there, and most, anak mo po to na, she eats less vegetables. So this inflammation in our colon can be avoided by eating fibrous foods, by including fiber in our diet, like vegetables, and then we have fruit. And then we also have straining of at stool because lack of dietary fiber can lead to hemorrhoids and nervous disorders. Okay, this one look high fiber, happy colon. Yes, very true. What works like a sponge and is essential for your GI system? What? It works as a sponge. It's fiber, and it is essential for your glycemic index system. I think it's wheat. Wheat are, carbohydrates, and it has high fiber. That's why an oatmeal. Okay, and when you are, most people in a diet they eat oatmeal because it has high fiber. It came from wheat. I think it's a wheat. This one. Okay, so let's go. Sorry. Dietary fiber. Lack of dietary fiber may also lead to overnutrition. Okay, overnutrition and thing that's over, not good. Okay, when one does not masticate, the secretion of digestive hormones such as orgastrin and cholecystokinin is not induced. Okay, so alright, when one does not masticate, so masticate, chew. Okay, so when you are, late na kay ka, so you don't masticate. Okay, so the secretion of digestive hormones is not induced. And then, without these hormones, it takes longer to reach the feeling of satiety. Okay, so feeling na to, dugay pa ta mabusog. And then, kung di kayo na to siya iusap, because, ang mga enzymes and the hormones, that will digest the food, di siya kayo take contact to the food. Okay, especially chewing is the first part of reaction because our tongue, okay, our mouth has an has an enzyme called, so ano nasa baba? It has a thiamine. Okay, it has a thiamine. So without that enzyme, okay, so this enzyme helps the breaking of food. Okay, so if tinatutarungon, then that enzyme gonna take contact to our food. So feeling nato siya, feeling nato kanang dugay ta wa pa ta nabusog. Hinay gamayon ug di kita magsig-usap. And then we have dietary fiber may also be beneficial in weight maintenance. Okay, so we have fiber increases the bulk in the stomach and intestines without contributing to the caloric intake. Okay, so we have our oatmeal. Okay, our oatmeal has high fiber in its bulk. So feeling na to mabusog na siya. When I was in elementary, our teacher told us, dugay, nganong ang mais is ano, feeling nato, dugay, ay dali rata mabusog, and then dugay mawala, dugay tagutumoy. Because it's true because mais has high fiber, and it's good for those in a diet, um for those people who has high glucose, high ano na, high blood, high glycemic index. Okay, when you have high glycemic, you have high glycemic index, then that will lead to high blood. Hmm. Di, ang galing na, basta, huy, nagklase. So, mao na, mga tagas og sugar, magkaon sila og mais. Nagklase. Okay, and then it's bulk. So, when it's bulk, so there's a feeling of, ano siya, of feeling of satiety, busog, and in the intestines without contributing to the caloric intake. Okay, then we have the earth. There is also correlation between ischemic heart disease and gallstone formation with the lack of dietary fiber. Then we have, okay, the cholesterol can be trapped in the meshwork, reducing the concentration of blood cholesterol. Oh, okay, so when you put more fibers in your diet, then it will trap even the cholesterols, uh, thereby the concentrations of cholesterols in your blood vessels will be reduced. And then with dietary fiber, the bile will not be supersaturated with cholesterol, and then in its absence, the bile will be supersaturated with cholesterol, and gallstone formation will result. So mas madaghan nun kay ang cholesterol. And then also, okay, so these are all true. When cholesterol is trapped, plaque formation will be reduced. Okay, so in the absence of dietary fiber, excess cholesterol can lead to plaque formation, leading to ischemic heart disorders. Okay, of course. Now, this one, when we have cholesterols or fats in our blood vessels, our heart will, because it acts as ano man siya, obstacle in our blood, because our blood, uh, the pathway is blood vessels, and the cholesterol in, when it's in our blood vessels, then it will become an obstacle for the blood to pass through, thereby our heart will push stronger so that our blood can travel to all parts of our body. Then that's why, okay, with those who are in a heart attack, the heart attack there happen because of no, there are cholesterols in our blood vessels that became an obstacle, and then the the pumping of the heart is very strong na, so that maabot should ang mga blood to all parts of our body. So mm, that's the time na ma heart attack ka kay murag na sobraan na murag na pag sobraan pag pump sa imong heart. Just then we have about 20 to 35 grams of dietary fiber is daily is a desirable intake. So I believe that okay, so those right now we have the dietary fibers, we have okra, we have kangkong, they are rich in fibers, we have alubati, we have oatmeal, we have we have even our potato, and then we have our maize, so they're rich in fibers. And of course, our Yakult, Yakult, yogurt. Okay. So we have here dietary consider. That's why Yakult is monitored. Okay kabatchan, okay kabatchan, okay ba ang atong gut because Yakult is siya fibrous. Okay. High fiber, we have superstars. Oh, naman na siya example. Okay, potato. And then we have pear. O, but ko kakaon ano yung pear ay. So, kung sa mani soup, kung sa mani nga soup. And then we have cereals. Okay, cereals. We have, oatmeal. Or should akong ginakaon na cereal. Okay, more affordable. Then we have strawberries. Oh, we have orange. We have popcorn. Oh, we have rice, brown rice. Okay, nako oatmeal. Okay. Then, okay, heart. Okay, what is heart? Naman siya. What can fiber do for your heart? Okay, this one. It reduces the absorption of digested fats. Okay, the fats when accumulated to uh, then we have the lower blood cholesterol levels. Because later in our lipids, we will know that cholesterol really exists in our body. Yes, it's natural. However, because of our pasagad na pagkaon, then it will mataas siya kayo, and then it's not good anymore. And then also the fiber reduces the risk of coronary heart disease, and it helps remove toxins released during digestions. Because fibers allows you to excrete every day, releasing all the toxins from your body. And yay, that's all. We are finished. Yay. Okay, so exam na ta. Yes, thank you, Lord. Okay, so see you for the discussion of our lipids. That's all for our carbohydrates. Hope that have learned you have learned aside because carbohydrates seems so I don't mention sa atin, no, seems so familiar. We've eaten it every day. What we have tackled here in biochemistry is the chemistry of our carbohydrates. So that's why we are very particular to the structure or to the linkages and to the yes, the structure, the linkages. of our carbohydrates because this is chemistry, and then little about its biology. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. Thank you so much and goodbye. Have a great day.